How's it going, everyone? In this video, we have some big news on Giulia, a major WWE star potentially returning next week on Smackdown, and a whole lot more. But before we begin, please make sure to drop a like on this video. I would really appreciate it. Alright guys, so for our first story of today, we have some news on when Giulia will make her WWE in-ring debut. So following their confrontation on NXT, WWE has officially announced on social media that Giulia will be making her much anticipated in-ring debut against Chelsea Green next week on NXT television. Next up, we have some news on WWE's Backstage reaction to Giovanni Vinci's return to Smackdown. So despite WWE airing multiple vignettes hyping up Giovanni Vinci's return to SmackDown, it looks like not everyone was pleased with how his return went down. Because according to a report from WrestleVotes, there are some key figures within WWE Creative that, quote, absolutely hated the direction for the Giovanni Vinci angle on SmackDown, which saw him lose to Apollo Crews in less than 10 seconds. Next, we have some big news that multiple WWE stars have signed new deals with the company, as Mike Johnson, a PW insider, and Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select report that Shayna Baszler, Cedric Alexander, and Sheamus have all reportedly signed new long-term deals to remain with the company, as well as former WWE star Jacqueline, who recently announced on her social media that she too has signed a WWE Legends contract. Moving on to our next story, we have some news that a major WWE star could be returning next week on SmackDown. So after he was last seen on the April 12th episode of Friday Night SmackDown, it looks like one major WWE star could be returning to help out Cody Rhodes defend his title against Solo Sikoa. Because during a recent episode of his podcast, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi stated, "Jimmy's doing fine. I think at any given moment, hopefully, Jimmy will be ready to come back to be able to do what he loves. I'm sure he misses the fans, and I'm sure you all miss Jimmy. He's doing great. He's got some time to be able to rest the body, rest the mind, and he's ready to go. So hopefully, we're able to see Jimmy soon." So now guys, I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on all of the topics that we discussed today. Starting off with our first story, we did talk about Giulia and when she will be making her in-ring debut, and WWE did announce on social media that Giulia will be competing in her first match next week on NXT television against Chelsea Green. And in my opinion guys, I am very excited to see how Giulia wrestles in her first WWE match, because if you guys are fans of Giulia and you have seen her wrestle in Japan, she is known to have a very physical wrestling style. So I am very interested to see if WWE has changed her style or if it will remain the same. So I'm excited to see that match and how she competes next week. The other story that we talked about was on Giovanni Vinci and how people within WWE Creative were not pleased with his return. And in my opinion, guys, I would agree with that because for several weeks now, WWE has been airing vignettes of Giovanni Vinci on Friday Night SmackDown with a completely different persona, a new attitude, and just a completely different character as compared to how he was when he was aligned with Imperium. And then just to have him return, to have a big return and have him lose to Apollo Crews in less than 10 seconds, I think that was a very big mistake by WWE. But it remains to be seen if with this backlash that fans have been, posting online on social media about how WWE could hype up a wrestler and then have him, make his re-debut on television and then have him get squashed. Basically, that was a bad idea. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if WWE changes their trajectory with Giovanni Vinci's booking. The other story that we talked about was about multiple WWE superstars signing new long-term deals to remain with the company. And those wrestlers are Shayna Baszler, Cedric Alexander, and Sheamus, and also longtime or former WWE star Jacqueline. She did announce on social media that she signed a WWE Legends contract, which is awesome in my opinion. However, one person that I was surprised to see, re-sign with the company is Cedric Alexander, because obviously we all know that he was a part of the Hurt Business with MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. And now that they have all left WWE, I was expecting Cedric Alexander to leave as well. However, he did choose to re-sign a new contract, a long-term contract with WWE, which will see him remain with the company for several more years to come. The next story that we talked about was that a major WWE star could be returning next week on SmackDown, and that person is Jimmy Uso, who has been out of action, guys, for several months now. The last time he appeared on Friday Night SmackDown was back on April, so he's been gone for quite some time, and he has been gone due to an undisclosed injury, and still that we don't know of, like what kind of injury he has been dealing with. However, over the past few weeks, there have been reports saying that Jimmy Uso was getting better and that his return was expected soon. Also, Jey Uso has done interviews talking about Jimmy Uso and saying that he's basically waiting for his brother to return imminently. And so during his recent podcast, an episode on his podcast, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi did say he did provide an update on Jimmy Uso, and he did say that Jimmy is doing a lot better now, physically, mentally, with the break that he did take. And he does expect Jimmy to return to WWE television soon. And in my opinion, guys, I do see Jimmy Uso returning next week on Friday Night SmackDown, and that is when Cody Rhodes defends his title against Solo Sikoa in a steel cage match, which obviously fans should expect to see the Bloodline interfere to try to help Solo Sikoa win. And in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jimmy Uso finally make his return to SmackDown. Perhaps even Jey Uso might make a surprise appearance there. He gets, taken out, and then out of nowhere, Jimmy Uso returns, makes his big return, and then helps out Cody Rhodes retain his title. So with that being said, guys, that is all of the news that we have for today. Please make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of those stories in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.